Everything you see here is what you will need to progress from the start of the Steam Age, so 0.0, all the way up to low voltage in Gregtech. This is specifically filmed in the Gregtech Community Edition Modern on 1.20 and 1.21. However, I'm fairly certain that this should be fine for Gregtech Community Edition on earlier versions. You may be able to use it for Gregtech New Horizons, but I'm probably going to do a separate complete tutorial for Gregtech New Horizons because, well, it's Gregtech New Horizons. So, let's get into it. If you are looking for other age tutorials, I have done all of them, by the way. One of the first things you want to do in Gregtech is actually find some ores, of course, because how are you going to do anything if you don't have the ores? And how ores spawn in Gregtech is very interesting. Now, certain mod packs, let's take the example as ATM9, will move these ores. ATM9 has moved them to the mining dimension, and therefore you will not find them in the overworld. Some mod packs obviously may have changed them in other ways, etc., but I just want to make that clear that I am talking about the default way they'd spawn in Gregtech. This will work in Gregtech New Horizons and also Gregtech Community Edition and Gregtech Community Edition Modern. So it's pretty much the same way in all of them. So as you can see here, I've got the chunk borders on, and this is really important when finding ores in Gregtech. So to do this, you press F3 on your keyboard. Obviously, if you press F3, you get all this stuff come up. But if you just hold it down, nothing happens. So hold down F3 and press G. G for gargantuan ore veins from Gregtech. And you'll get the chunk borders. So F3 and G, as you can see. Now, the hard bit is finding the first vein. So the way it works, and I'm going to give you two examples here. So I've got this waypoint that I've used of Journey Map for an ore vein I found here in this chunk. And they spawn every 3 chunks. So second chunk, well, 1, 2, and 3. And there's another ore vein here. So you go 1, 2, 3, and there's another ore vein. So what you have to do is, ideally in the middle of the chunk, like go to the middleist block, so just go diagonally in, and then you just want to dig down. Now, if you have something like a hammer, depending on the mod pack, etc., that can mine like a 3x3, it's going to make life a lot easier. And all you want to do is dig down in the middle of the chunk, and you're going to have to do it in like every chunk until you find one with a vein. Once you find one with a vein, obviously then you know that it's 3 chunks to the next one. But finding the first one is often the hard bit because you don't know which one to start with, which one is the third chunk. So as you can see down here, I have found a rock salt ore, spodumene ore, looking vein. And what you'll see is that there is a ton of ores in this vein. And this is how they spawn. Rather than in the default Minecraft, there's maybe an ore over there, an ore over here, you get these gargantuan ores, lepidotolite ore, if I pronounced that right. As you can see, there's absolutely tons of it. So when you find a ore vein that you want, you will actually have tons of that material. I personally love how it works. So then what we do is we come up, and I'm going to show you the next one. I'm also going to show you a list of the ones that you can find. So I go down into the third chunk over, and I've dug down. Sometimes you may have to go really low. This is being filmed on a very modern version of Minecraft on 1.20. Gregtech New Horizons, for example, is on 1.7 still. So I've come all the way down into the deep slate here, and you can see deep slate redstone ore. So I found the ore vein, but you've got to be careful, because if I just went down in this one block, you might not find it if I was, say, coming down here. That's why I say doing it in a 3x3 is probably the best way. Or maybe do some strip mining through the chunk to try and find the vein. Because imagine I come up through here, I may never saw that bit of redstone, but as soon as you see a piece of ore from Gregtech, you know you have found the vein. So here for the redstone, I knew it. I started digging out around, and lo and behold, I found a massive redstone vein. There is this website you can go to, which is the Gregtech Modern documentation. There may be ones for the older versions of Gregtech as well, but this is showing you, or it may even be the same for the older versions as well, I'm not sure. But this is the ore generation here. And what you can see is the overworld. What veins can we find? So a cassiterite vein will have tin and cassiterite, and it will be from 10 to 80 Y level. If you find a copper tin vein, these are the ones that will have in it. A galena vein will have galena, silver, and lead. A garnet tin vein will have these in. So basically, you can look through here, and let's say you're looking for gypsum. You could say, okay, well, maybe I should look for a mineral sand vein. you know, and this is what you'll get with those, and it shows you the height range. So there is different height ranges for them, so you know, if you're looking for a certain ore, there's no like specific way to find them really easily, at least not this early in the game. So it really is just going to be luck at this point. But you're just going to go around looking through different veins, and I would just say spending a day or two in game just mining out different ores and seeing what you can find. But that is how you find ores in Gregtech. Before we get any further, I want to let you know that I'm partnering up with G-Portal here to give you 10% off your first month with them. They do all sorts of Minecraft servers, whether you want modded, Spigot, Sponge, anything you want. And you can swap out not just Minecraft, but any game on your server at the click of a button with GameCloud. Meaning the possibilities are endless. Again, check out the link in the description so you can get some money off with code Javier. Once you've got some ores, or even, before, the first thing we're going to need to do is make steam. And this is in the steam age. So there's different ages in Gregtech, going to low voltage, medium voltage, high voltage, etc., etc. And we start off with the steam age, which is the age before electricity. And the age doesn't last for very long. It's basically these machines you see in front of us. So the first machines we're making, rather than being powered by electricity, are powered by steam. So how do we make steam? Well, we have a low pressure steam solid boiler, a low pressure steam liquid boiler, and a low pressure steam solar boiler. These are the three main ways that you would be making steam early game. There is, however, high pressure versions. As you can see, high pressure steam solid boiler, etc., etc. These require steel plates, which you won't quite be able to make just yet. So hence we're starting off with the low pressure versions. High pressure obviously use more steam and do things more quickly. So to start with, you are going to need some bronze plates. These are made by using a hammer on bronze ingots, and bronze ingots are made with copper and tin ingots. You're also going to want some tools for Gregtech: an iron screwdriver, an iron file, an iron saw, an iron hammer, and an iron wrench. Now, these are also made with plates, which are made in the same way that I just showed you to make bronze plates. Now, when I put in wrench, you'll see that there's tons of different wrenches that you can make. Basically, you can make your tools out of any materials. The starting material I would recommend, of course, would be iron. So you place down the steam boiler. Let's say we're using the low pressure steam solid boiler. And inside, what you do is you put your coal or etc. in here, and it smelts it up into heat. You then pump in water, which is empty right now, which is not good. As you can see here, it's using all the water to turn it into steam. And you get steam. Now, one thing to note here is that if you pump in water into an already hot boiler, it will explode. So you must make sure that you pump the water in and then heat it up. And you could just take out the block of coal and, slowly but surely it will cool down. To actually pump this stuff around, we're going to need bronze fluid pipes. So fluid pipes, again, are made of bronze plates. Now, when I place them down, there's different sizes you can make. You'll see here that we have these little connectors. If I right-click with a pipe here, it's going to attach it to the left-hand side of this pipe. Whereas if I put it here, it does it to the front of the pipe. If I just place it like this, however, it doesn't connect. And what I'd need to do is get my wrench and right-click that bit and right-click that bit to connect them up. And again, I can disconnect them. You may think it's a bit annoying to start off with, but I actually ended up preferring this method as to other ones where they automatically connect and it's really annoying. That's the fun thing about Gregtech. So how do we get the water in here? Well, you can just use the pipes as shown. What I'm doing is I'm using a bronze drum. You can also make a wooden barrel, which is a cheaper alternative. And what you'll notice in Gregtech is that all the recipes, etc., are very, very long-winded. So just to make a wooden barrel, you need some sticky resin, which is slime that's smelted. You need some planks and then also long iron rods, which are made of a hammer with 2 iron rods, and iron rods are made from iron ingots. So, or you can use a file, meaning 1 ingot equals 1 rod, for example. And, it's quite a long process. I won't be showing you all recipes, of course, in this tutorial, and these tutorials just assume that if I don't show you the recipe, then you can already make it with the materials you have. So what we do with the bronze drum is we place it down, and what you can then do with a screwdriver is you can right-click the bottom of it, and can you see it says will not drain fluid, will drain fluid downward to adjacent tanks. So screwdrivers will change the state of an item. So on your bronze drum or wooden barrel, just go onto the bottom of it and right-click it so that it automatically drains, and then you can just shift-click on your normal bronze fluid pipe, and it will start automatically draining that water out. If you have the pipe there, and it's not working, just break the pipe and then replace it, and it'll start draining, because sometimes that can be an issue. Do be careful not to mix them up, because as what you can see here, this has water in the pipes, but then over here we have steam. Even though steam is, well, is it a gas? I guess technically it is. It uses fluid pipes. So I'm just going to break these pipes here and then reconnect them. And as you can see, I've pumped water in to a hot boiler and it has exploded, because you must make sure that you're putting the water into a cool boiler. The only difference with the liquid one is you can use things like lava, and then the steam solar boiler obviously takes the power from the sun to heat it up, and you can see it's full of water and steam, and I have the steam coming out of this side, and it will come out automatically. And there we go, that is how you make steam in Gregtech. So once you've got your steam, you can use a separate side of it and just pump off the machine, and then just pump out the fluid pipe. So you literally, with these ones, just literally, if I shift click on a fluid pipe here, the steam will automatically start coming out, and that's pretty much any side that you want here. So I've got water going in at the back, and then the steam will automatically pipe out. I then have it going into these machines here: a forge hammer, a furnace, a rock crusher, and you may not need all of these, a macerator, a compressor, a smelter, and extractor. I would say these four are the main ones that you need, but these ones make life easier. So let's go through them one by one very quickly. A steam forge hammer. What does it do? Well, I'm going to press U for recipes, and what you'll notice on the JEI is it says forge hammer. And can you see in the recipes, it shows you a low pressure steam forge hammer, a high pressure one, a basic forge hammer, and can you see it says voltage in 32 EU per tick, LV, that's low voltage. And then you've got medium voltage, high voltage, EV, and we'll go through voltages, etc. at the point in the ultimate guide where we're going through, low voltage. We don't need to go through it yet because we're not using electricity yet. But when you look in the recipes in JEI, it will show you like all the forge hammers. But basically what we can do in the recipes in the forge hammer is we can turn, for example, 3 tin alloy ingots into 2 tin alloy plates, 2 iron rods into 1 long iron rod. So when we're looking at plates, for example, 3 ingots make 2 plates, whereas when you're making plates of a hammer, 2 ingots make 1, meaning to make 2 of them, you'd need 4 ingots. But now if the forge hammer, rather than needing 4 ingots, you only need 3. So you've already made like a 25% saving on ingots making plates. Then we have the steam furnace. I think this is pretty obvious what it does. It's better than a normal furnace, and it uses steam rather than using coal. The rock crusher is really, really interesting. What I can do with the rock crusher is I've put water on this side, and I've put lava on this side. And then inside it, I put 1 cobblestone. And what it will start doing is it will start making cobblestone in the rock crusher with water and lava on each side. So when I look at the recipes on the rock crusher, you can see here I can put in deep slate, I can put in diorite, cobblestone, and things like that. Like if you want to do netherrack, you'll see that it requires EV. So you need it to be an EV version. Whereas to do cobblestone, we can do ultra LV, which is ultra low voltage, meaning you can do it with steam. So if you are trying to do a recipe, like you're putting netherrack in here, and you're going, well, it's not working, that's because you need the EV version in order to do that recipe. So JEI is really important when using Gregtech. One other thing is when you see it working, can you see the steam coming out of it? With the steam machines, you need to vent the steam. So, and it's the same with all steam machines. By default, they will vent steam at the back because they need to vent out the hot steam. If I hold a wrench over the machine, can you see here that I have a blank side? And then what I can do is right-click this, and now it says exhaust vent at the very top of the screen, west. And that's where the exhaust vent will be. You can't put it on the front, I don't believe, but you can put it on the sides and the, I think it's just the sides. And the bottom, I believe. So if you've got the pipe going in here at the back for the steam, it won't be able to exhaust vent the steam. So if I come onto the back here, break that pipe, put the exhaust pipe there, and then I put in the fluid pipe for the steam, what you'll notice is that it's done 1 cobblestone, and now it's not working. So you might be like, why the hell is this not working then? What have I done wrong? What you need to do, can you see at the top it says blocked? So what you need to do is get your wrench and move the exhaust vent to say here, and you can see the steam comes out, and now it is working. Or I can put the vent on top for this one, so it might depend on the machine. Maybe all of them you can put on the top. But there you go. So if you just be careful of that. Then we have the macerator. This macerates things. Who would have thought? Melon slice into seeds. And you can basically get some ore doubling here. It's like a sapphire ore from all the ores makes 2 crushed sapphire ore with a 67% of getting stone dust and aluminum dust. And that crushed sapphire ore I can then use with my hammer to turn into impure piles of sapphire dust. And then you can do all this crazy ore processing, later on with those ores. But we can't really do much with it at the moment. There is the forge hammer, which can also crush those crushed sapphire ores into impure piles of dust. We have the compressor, which compresses things, making blocks, ingots, things like that. There's loads and loads of recipes you can make with that. And then we also have the alloy smelter. This is kind of obvious what it does. It alloy smelts. So with your bronze, you can use your free copper and tin to make your bronze ingots automated here. And you're going to want to automate a lot of things in Gregtech. And lastly, there's the steam extractor, which when we look in it, this will extract things. For example, and the main one I want to show you is not in here, so don't worry. But it can extract, lots of things. And those are all of the main Steam machines that you're going to want to make. One of the things you are going to need in the Steam age of Gregtech is a primitive blast furnace. So, how do we make the primitive blast furnace? Just going to be using some fire bricks, which are made from, fire bricks. These are made from heating compressed fire clay, made from fire clay dust, which is made from clay and brick dust. And you can use this with an iron mortar. And this is just made with, or bronze, it's up to you, 2 ingots and some stone. You can then just crush the clay and the bricks with the mortar. So it's another tool you're going to be needing. You will also then need, with another fire brick, some bits and bobs here, shown in making some tools, and a primitive blast furnace. So, how do we actually then make it? Well, it's a 3x3, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it comes up 4, so 2, 3, 4 tool. What you want to do is fill all of the outside, like this, and leave the interior completely empty with the roof, a little hole on top like that. As you can see here, it's working. And then plop out a block and put your primitive blast furnace in. And you can see here at the top of my screen, it says structure formed, so we know that it's all good. What you're then going to do is put in some coal or blocks of coal, it's completely up to you, and that is the actual fuel for your primitive blast furnace. Then we need the actual ingot or item we're going to be using in our recipe. So for me, I want to make steel ingots, meaning I actually put coal in again with iron. That is because the coal at the bottom is the fuel for the blast furnace, and then the top 2 are actually the recipe. And as you can see here, it's then working very slowly to make steel ingots and tiny piles of dark ashes, which you can make into dark ashes and do some other stuff with. But then we make steel ingots, and that's how you make it in your primitive blast furnace. And with steel, we can make some stronger tools, and we can also make high-pressure machines. So if we look at the high-pressure steam solid boiler, you can see it produces 15 millibuckets per tick of steam, whereas the low-pressure boiler makes 6 millibuckets a tick of steam. So it's over double the power of the low-pressure boiler. It's completely up to you if you want to upgrade or not, because we will be at some point in the near future upgrading to low voltage. So it depends kind of how you go. But there you go. That is how we use the primitive blast furnace. Another multi-block after the primitive blast furnace you will need is a coke oven in Gregtech. It works pretty much the same in the fact that you need a coke oven itself, like the actual brick is called coke oven. And this will make better fuels for steel and power. And the main one we're going to be making is Creosote. If you've ever played Immersive Engineering, it's very similar. It's made with coke oven bricks, which are compressed coke clay, which you can make very easily with a brick wooden form, which you just use a knife with, and a saw. So you're also going to need some coke oven bricks themselves, and the difference between the primitive blast furnace is the top is open on top. With the coke oven, what you actually have is a empty interior, so a shell, if you will. So this one is 1, 2, 3 across like this, and then you literally just fill in the outer layer and then replace one block with the coke oven, and it says structure formed. You go into it, I'm just going to show you this one here. You put in coal, and instead you get coke out. So I can just put in my coal here, I take the coke out, and it'll start forming. And we also have creosote. Now the creosote is really, really useful What you could do is just get a creosote bucket, a bucket, and just left click it onto the creosote to take out the bucket. We can also add these coke oven hatches on, which you can use as inputs and outputs to take out, your fluids and items, etc. What we would then do with the creosote is you would ideally, one thing you could actually do is put some sticks with it, with some wool, and make 12 torches, or I didn't know that. But mainly, what you'll be doing with the creosote is making treated wood planks. And these treated wood planks can make treated wood sticks and anything else treated. One of the main ways out of the game I use these for is going to be this machine here, which is the primitive pump for pumping out endless amounts of water in Gregtech. But either way, that is how you make coke creosote using the coke oven. Before you move on to low voltage, you may want to get some water sources going. And the way you do it in Gregtech is, as I say, the primitive pump. It's a multi-block structure, and as you can see, looks a bit complex. So how does it work? Well, you're going to need a primitive pump. And by this point, you should be used to kind of using your screwdriver and your file and your hammer and making plates and screws and rings and, all these bits and bobs manually. And then you're also going to need some pump decks. So the actual block is 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's just place it out. So I'm going to dig out this one here. So like this, and I'm just going to put down the pump decks. And then at the front here, I'm putting my primitive pump. I'm then going to make an area around it for the water. I'm not actually sure. You might only need the water in this bit, but I'm not sure. I will test it in a minute. And then we have treated wood frames. So you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 treated wood frames. And this bit in the middle where the pipe is coming out of, this is a pump hatch. And this is the actual hatch where your water will come out. And that's going to go here. So you just place it down here. There you go, pump hatch. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, fill that up, and 1, 2. Oh, sorry, a bit wrong there. This one comes to the end, so it's like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to put my water down. Yeah, so it does actually just need water, it seems, where the actual primitive pump block itself is. Because as you can see, in the pump hatch, I can see there's already a bucket of water in there. And then simply, I'm going to get my normal bronze fluid pipe. And I'm just going to shift-click that onto there. And as you can see, it's automatically pumping out the water. And there we go. You've actually got unlimited water coming from Gregtech. Now, one thing about these wooden frames is you can climb them, as you can see here. So they do work as a sort of ladder as well. And all of the treated wood, etc., is obviously made with creosote from the coke oven. And here's my setup over here. So this is how I'm producing steam. I have my primitive pump, which we've obviously just looked at, pumping it out into a bronze drum. And then I've used my screwdriver on the bottom of the bronze drum to pump out water automatically into more tubes. And then it's going into some pressure steam boilers. And of course, if you want to upgrade these, you can with steel. You can also store items as well with your bronze crate and wooden crate while we're here as well. This is just literally basically a barrel or double barrel. Just a little added bonus FYI. Once you've got all your steam machines up and running and you've got your coal and your coke and your steel, there's only one thing stopping you from getting to low voltage and leaving the steam age forever. And that, my friends, is a basic electronic circuit. This is the gateway into low voltage, or LV, and getting rid of steam and getting electricity. So how do we make a basic electronic circuit? Well, there's a few things we are going to need. Number one, we are going to need resin-printed circuit boards. These are made from resin circuit boards and copper wire. Copper wire and all other wires like tin, etc., are made with a wire cutter. Again, you can make an iron wire cutter with some basic tools, etc., which is what I would recommend, and you just cut plates into wires. The resin circuit board is made with sticky resin, which I'll show you how to get, and wood planks. Wood planks made in your low-pressure steam compressor from wood pulp. Wood pulp is made in, I can't remember, the macerator. And you basically macerate logs into the wood pulp, which you then make into wood planks in the compressor. and then use resin to make your resin circuit boards. Now, how do we get sticky resin? Well, you can smelt up slime balls, but my guess is going to be that you probably don't have a billion slime balls laying around. In taiga and alike biomes, you will find these rubber log trees. Now, unlike in the olden days in IC2, Industrial Craft 2, you will not get the little resin like blob on there. What you actually do is get an axe. Oh, you won't believe this. This is really crazy stuff. And well, you just chop the tree down. And as you can see, I'm getting a rubber log, but I'm also getting a piece of resin with every, or nearly every, it's about 70% drop chance, I think. There you go, you've got 4 sticky resin there. So that's how you get your resin. Find these rubber trees. They can be quite rare. I think it's like a 20% chance of them to spawn, and they're only, in my belief, and this is from the wiki, taiga biomes that you will find them. So that's how you get your sticky resin, and hence that's how you get your resin circuit boards. Another item is a vacuum tube. Basically using glass dust and a casting mold. So I haven't spoken to you about casting molds, so let's talk about those now. Obviously here you're using a low pressure steam alloy smelter. Glass dust, you can just smash up some glass with your hammer like a reckless hooligan. And then molds, there's loads of different molds. You basically make an empty mold with some steel plates, and then you use your hammer to bash it into this. So if I look at empty molds, you'll actually see that basically, depending on where you put your hammer in the crafting grid, is dependent on what mold you can make. So there's loads of different molds that you can make there. And then the rest of it you should know how to make, and there you get your vacuum tubes. There's resistors, which are going to need some sticky resin paper, carbon dust, which at this point in your macerator, you'd look at doing ores with nether graphite and things like that. And basically just, what's this one as well? Yeah, graphite ore. You basically would like to get some carbon dust as a 14% chance from macerating those up. And also deep slate, yeah, graphite ore, etc. So you need to find your ore veins for that. The copper wire you can make pretty easily just by following it back. And then the last one we have is red alloy cables. And these you need with your red alloy wire. So you may not know how to make red alloy wire. You make it from the plate as usual. Red alloy ingots, which are made from a red alloy dust, which is made in your alloy smelter. Sorry, no, ignore me. In the alloy smelter, here we go. 4 redstone dust and 1 copper dust, which you would have, or you can use ingots as well. You can use your copper ingots and redstone dust to make your red alloy ingots, which you can then obviously make into plates, and then the wire. And then you basically put rubber sheets with it to get red alloy cables. Now, once we enter LV, I'm going to explain to you in those videos and parts how to do the voltages, etc. But the last thing you need here is rubber sheets, which again you make from rubber ingot, from another casting mold. Rubber ingots are made in the alloy smelter with raw rubber pulp, and the pulp is made in a steam extractor from your resin. And then sulfur dust, the ore veins for sulfur dust are only in the nether, so you need to get deep slate sulfur. Oh, okay, maybe they're not just in the nether. Sulfur ore. I thought it was only in the nether you could get sulfur ore, but maybe I'm wrong. It looks like I'm wrong, so I'm going to say I'm wrong. But it may depend on your mod pack anyway, that you get sulfur dust, etc. And then you can obviously put that with your raw rubber pulp that I just explained to get your rubber ingots, which you then turn into rubber sheets, again with a mold, and then you can make your red alloy cable, and ta-da, you put all of those items together, and you get yourself basic electronic circuits. You are going to need a lot of these, and you're probably already noticing Gregtech is quite intense with the recipes, etc. You really want to automate, or have make tons at a time. I would just make a stack of these, or at least half a stack. You don't want to be making 2 resistors and then another 2 resistors. Just make a stack of resistors, make a stack of vacuum tubes, make a few stacks of red alloy cable. You need to be bulk crafting, or you are going to want to tear your hair out in this mod. But there you go. That is how you make basic electronic circuits. I don't usually go through all the recipes and stuff in JEI on how to make items in my guides, but I feel like with these very specific, multifaceted ones in Gregtech at some point, it maybe is needed. But there you go. Once you've made them, you can enter low voltage. I hope you did enjoy the video. Click that subscribe button if you did, and of course leave a thumbs up. If you're looking for other mod guides, I do a hell of a lot on this channel. My actual goal on this channel is to complete every major mod in the entirety of Minecraft for Forge, Fabric, etc. If you look at my channel, I have a tech mod shelf, a magic mod shelf, a utility and standalone mod shelf, so ones that aren't in playlists. I also have now mod pack guides as a shelf. So at the moment, I am live streaming through RLcraft, and you can get that, of course, on my lives. I live every Wednesday and Saturday, and you can always see when the next scheduled stream is. And I play through the mod pack, and then I will also do separate guides on that mod pack. So if you are looking for specific mod packs, or you just want to come along and ask me some questions or hang out, you can also do that there. Do also just use the search bar if you are looking for a specific mod. And if you'd like to play with me, the mod pack that I do live stream, I do from our Patreon server, which of course you can join down below, which would massively support the channel, but also gets you access to things like that.